Welcome everyone to Young World. You remember I told you about Young World last week. Young World is your world. For the young person, we look at it from like age 19 into 25. You could be 60 as well and you feel young. So it's for everybody. It's the young person that eventually becomes an adult who will now become a parent. So, Young World, it's for everyone. It's all about every issue, general issue concerning a young person. Every issue is being discussed, all topics is in Young World. Young World is your world. Today, we are going to be discussing about identity and culture. It's all about you. It's all about who you are. It's all about what you are. And you know what? Get excited, get relaxed, and enjoy this talk because we have our guest today. Princess Moradehun is our guest today. I will leave her to introduce herself. You are welcome, Princess.
Thank you so much, Lady M. A pleasure to be on your amazing show. As you know, I have a heart for young people and the youths in general. I believe our children are the future. Tomorrow belongs to them.
Yes.
And we too were once young people
yes.
At some point. Yes, I am Her Royal Highness Princess Moradehun Adedoyin-Solarin. I'm a broadcast journalist by profession and a media specialist. I sometimes act on stage or TV and films. But most importantly, after turning 60, my focus is really more about giving back to community, particularly young people, so that we can have a better quality of life in the future for the young ones. And I'm very, very honored to be with you today to discuss.
You're welcome, Princess. So today we're going to be talking about identity and culture. And I will leave our princess to tell us what it is all about our identity, what it is all about our culture, especially as young people. How do we go about knowing who we are? How do we find out our identity? Princess.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll start with identity. The great Pan-African, father of Pan-Africanism, Honorable Dr. Mosiah Marcus Garvey, said, a people without knowledge of their history or from whence they came are like a tree without roots. And usually I'll quickly add, they will surely die. But of course we know that we must not die, we cannot die, and we will not die, particularly when we're talking about young people. Your identity is who you are. Your identity is what you are. Your identity is your DNA. What do you carry in your being as a person? From the time we were in our father's trousers till the time we got into our mother's wombs, your identity has already been known by the Creator himself. Because I was talking to one of our friends before we came on the show, and we're talking about, our identity as people and the opportunities we have as human beings. I always used to call myself, and I still do, the last sperm standing. Because when my father met with my mother, that fateful day, whether it was night, morning, I don't know, but there were about 1 million sperms that were released. And I'm the only one that survived, because we understand through biology and science that only one sperm fertilizes the egg. Once in a while, you might have the odd two that got there, around the same time. But usually it's just the one sperm, and the rest die off. Can you imagine? Out of a whole million, just one. So the 9 point whatever million die. So the fact that you even made it into your mother's womb, you have an identity. There's a purpose for your being in this world. There are other ways of looking at identity. Who are we? What are we? Where do we come from? Why are we here? These are all questions pertaining to our identification. And to identify you or me as a person, that is why we have names. That is why we have our specific looks. The shape of our eyes, our nose, our lips, our bodies. That is the color of our hair, the color of our skin. That is part of our identity. A lot of times when we look around the world, people have gotten lost because they either missed their identity, did not embrace their identity, or totally lost their identity. And sometimes you can have your identity stolen from you. So the issue of identity is so critical in our world, particularly in the world of the young people, so in the young person's world. A lot of times we have young people who, because of lack of identity, they lose their self-esteem, they lose their being, they lose who they are, and at times they go off track because they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. When we go into health as well, health issues, mental health is a very big issue amongst us as a human race, but extremely big now amongst young people. And one of the reasons is lack of identity. They suddenly lose who they are. Or they look in the mirror, they don't even recognize who they are. And these are very pertinent issues that we're so busy as parents, going to work, doing our business. We just want to, cover the mortgage, put food on the table, look after the children. Oh, we've done our bit. It goes a bit more than that. To know somebody, you must be their friend. Yeah. To identify you, I first have to see you and then know you. Then when I become your friend, I will really now know who you are. I will know who you are. So as soon as the name Lady M comes up in my head, I already have an image of that person. It could be pleasant, it could be non-pleasant, depending on what happened when we met. And with that particular memory in my head is what I will use to identify you. If there's a crime that's been committed and the law comes in, they will parade people like mugshots and bring maybe witnesses to do what? Identify. So this issue of identity is very deep. Not to talk of when we go back home because in the world there are different kinds of ethnicities. Everywhere we go is different. Even amongst the English, they're still different. Amongst us as Africans, we're all different. Asians. Yes. God in His infinite wisdom and mercy created a variety of human beings, as He created a variety of the animal species as well. Why? For His own pleasure. We will be very boring if all of us look the same, sounded the same, sing the same. Yeah. It will be a very boring world. Yes. So sometimes I wonder, why do we have racism? Why do we have tribalism? Exactly. Why do we have people who look down on others? Exactly. Why do we have hate or dislike? It's because we lack the knowledge, the essence of what identity is. You should be very comfortable in your own skin. Embrace your own identity. That's who you are. Be proud of it. Walk tall. Lift your head up. Yeah. And be proud of whatever the shade of your color. That is how the Creator has made you. Be comfortable in your own skin. Once we do that, our identity is something of pride and joy. Then we talked about culture. Culture evolves.
I'll halt you there, Princess. Before we go into culture, viewers, young people out there watching us, everybody that is viewing, you see the importance and the vital reason why we should, identify who we are, Who are you? So you don't go off the track. Just as our guest has told us this evening, you don't lose identity. You look for who you are and you embrace your identity. It will make you love yourself and love humanity. It takes away hate. That's what she's just told us. When you identify who you are, it takes away hate. It takes away violence against each other. You love yourself, you love humanity. It would be a very boring world, as she has told us today, if all of us were just the same. But you know, the Creator, as she has told us, I'm just repeating her, for you to know that you ought to love yourself. Know who you are. Do you know who you are? You need to know. Do you know what you are? Do you know how you are? These are things that our guest has told us today. We are going to be allowing calls later in the program. When the phone lines open, I will tell us so we can call to add our contribution about identity and culture and also to ask questions. But I will employ our viewers as our guest is taking us through these topics. They are very interesting. I want you to be noting what she's saying, just in case you don't understand and you want some explanation or you want to contribute to it. We shall be getting back to you on that. Now, Princess.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for taking us through identity.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is very good, and I'm so excited hearing this from you.
Thank you so much.
When we talk about culture for the young person, how can you tell the young person about their culture?
Culture, thank you again. Culture is so wide. Culture is also very synonymous to the different groups, ethnic groups, indigenous groups, tribes. You know, God, again, the mighty Creator, so wise indeed, that He gave each one something synonymous to them. You know, for us as Africans, we know when it comes to colors, we do all kinds of things with colors. From the way we dress, our dressing is very colorful. The food we eat, we have a variety of colors in our food, from the white yam to the red jollof rice to the green efo, etc. You know, when we look to the Far East as well, you see a lot of color. You know, the Asians, the Chinese, so I believe that these are places where the sun is very vibrant most of the time, and they have that ability to be creative. The Western world too has their own share of being colorful. Probably I would say they're colorful in the areas of being very inventive and innovative, and they can turn anything into entertainment, from sports to food. All you have to do is just, you know, look at the festivals we have around here in the UK, look at the TV shows. Anything, they're able to turn it into something colorful. It's all part of culture. Culture evolves. It's not stagnant. And then sometimes it goes in a circle and we go back again. I remember as a very young girl, my grandmother, the Queen, my grandfather's wife, she had shoes that were platforms.
Really?
Yeah, you know, wedges, yes. Wedges. Maybe not as psychedelic as the ones we started wearing. So when we then started wearing, I'm like, I've seen Grandma wear these kind of shoes. And then after a while it phased out, remember? Then we went through to the stilettos and went through to all kinds of other shoes. Now the platforms are back. The wedges are back. So it keeps, you know, and that is fashion, for instance. So that is fashion in its own colorfulness, if I can put it that way. Even the clothes we wear, you'll see that some fashion designs that we've had maybe in the 60s, in the 50s, they come back again.
Yeah.
So if those things that we imbibe and that we embrace have a pattern of evolving, disappearing, and coming back again, what is our own problem as human beings? Why can't we evolve? Why can't we embrace change that comes with culture? Why can't we, for many years ago, let's use a typical one of the jollof rice. Many years ago, it was just very typical of West Africa. So it's either Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Senegal.
Yes.
Senegal is really the home of jollof rice on the Wolof tribe. Now everywhere in the world, jollof rice is like a household name, because it has just become that popular meal, an exotic meal. But when we think back, it emerged from the culinary culture of a people. So gastronomy itself, the art of eating, dining, is a part of culture. As I said, the clothes we wear, the music, we listen to, the drum beats we dance to, the dances themselves, the headgear, everything is all cultural. But also we also have another side of culture, which is to do with values and ethics and etiquette and good character and great behavior and respect. Those are an integral part of the whole spectrum of culture. So I love the fact that, you've brought this up, because our young people sometimes realize they're losing the culture. Music is an amazing type of culture. And then we have the wrong lyrics put into music, or the wrong content put into a film or a TV show or a magazine that's published, and a young person or a group of young people would read it or imbibe it, and then they will go and act on what they've read, what they've seen, what they've heard. And the eyes, as we know, are the windows to the soul. So what are we feeding the eyes, particularly our young people? What are we feeding our souls? That's all that is part of culture, and we cannot separate them.
Thank you very much, Princess.
Yes.
Viewers, that's wonderful, Culture is your life, young people. Young people, your culture shows who you are. Your culture shows your identity. If you imbibe your culture correctly and bring it into the community and grow working in your culture, you know what the world will be? Young world will be an excellent world. And it's you, the young person, it's you, our viewers, who will make this excellent. Just as our princess has told us, everything you do is your culture. The clothes you put on, the food you eat, remember? Your behavioral culture, your values, your respect for one another, everything you do, the way you talk, those are who you are. So what she's telling us, what Princess is telling us now is that the culture, you are your culture. Your culture is you. And then she's capped it by saying music is very good culture for us. Of course, everyone loves music, Princess. I think we have a caller now. We're going to listen to the caller. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Young World.
Hello, hi, good evening.
Can you tell us your name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from London. My name is Juliet Makapila, and I'm the African Wonder Woman.
Juliet, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for the program that you're doing, and I love the topic as well.
You're welcome.
And I just wanted to to embrace the point that Her Royal Highness has just brought in terms of respect and how we have a culture of respect, and especially when we talk about identity from Africa. So thank you so much to the Royal Highness who is addressing that point beautifully.
Thank you, my Pan-African sister. God bless you indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. Thank you for calling. That's very encouraging. Viewers, we want you to call. We would like to hear from you. As I was saying, our princess told us about music. Princess, I would like to ask you,
yes, ma'am.
What do you think we should do about, because music, the lyrics, the wrong lyrics are put into music, and we can see that when it goes round into social media and it goes viral, it affects the young person negatively.
Absolutely.
How can we cope this wrong, impression in music?
Thank you, ma'am. As you were asking the question, what came to my mind is a song we all used to listen to. I'm not sure whether the younger generation would know it, but we do, the older ones. It says, if music be the food of love,
Play on.
play on.
That's true.
So music is about love. Whether it's a love song you're singing, whether you're singing to praise somebody, whether you're singing to describe how somebody looks, or the countryside, or a place, or a people, it's usually done with love in the background of it. When music gets to that stage whereby the lyrics that are put to the actual composition is vile and violent, there's nothing loving about that. And therefore, again, I'll go back to what we feel. All these holes, they're openings and they're entrances to our being, both physically, as we can see, but also, spiritually as well.
Yeah.
So whatever we feed our being will go in there and manifest.
That's true.
So young people, we love all the music that you play, the hip-hop, the rap, the grunge, the garage, the soul, the R&B, the Afrobeats, which is very popular. I'm a great fan of Afrobeats myself. I love Afrobeats. But sometimes when we listen to the lyrics, it's like, in fact, we adults, we also get carried away at dance parties. And, sometimes you sit back and like, what did I just dance to? What was that? Does it mean anything? So words that are not edifying, if I can use that word, shouldn't be encouraged to be added into the lyrics of songs. There have been songs way, way back, generations upon generations. I mean, Aretha Franklin sang some of the most beautiful songs. Onyeka Onwenu of Nigeria, Miriam Makeba of South Africa, the list goes on. Goldie Hawn. People have been singing songs. Sonny Ade, we can go on and on. Oliver Tukuzi of Zimbabwe. When you hear the lyrics, they identify, with the people and the things around them.
Yeah.
So maybe, if I can a little bit be devil's advocate here, maybe the young people are also coming up with songs, lyrics that show what they are imbibing. So the adults, what are we putting out there? Because young people are like sponges. You know, you drop sponge into any kind of liquid, it will soak it up.
Yeah.
So if you drop it into water, it'll soak up water. If you drop it into oil, it'll soak up oil. So that's how young people are. And when you were talking earlier about young people, we were talking about the age range of the young people that this program is particularly targeted at, even though it's for everybody globally, but it's for the teens. From the time a child reaches age 13, between 13 and 19, trust me, their character is formed. Think of yourself. I'm thinking of myself.
Yeah.
Those are the years, those are we call the formative years.
Yes.
The character is formed. Unless that person, as an adolescent or adult, decides on their own to change for either better or for worse, because it's all about choices.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about choices, which is also linked to our identity and linked to culture.
Yeah.
What makes us choose, whichever way we choose? What makes us choose? It's what we've seen. What are the adults around us doing? Especially the boy child. You know, the girl child have their own challenges as young girls, but the boy child, even though we say the girl child is vulnerable, agreed. The boy child is actually even more vulnerable, because as a boy he's already been told that he's a man. He needs to become a man. He needs to man up. Is he ready to man up? Have we given that child the ingredients and the tools he needs to man up?
How hot is your princess again? And viewers, this is very critical. This is a very important part we have come into. Are there parents out there viewing and watching and listening? How are you bringing up the young person? That child, that girl, that boy. Do you have time? Are you showing them by example? Are you doing things with them? Do you have history you are telling to your children? Do you tell them about your culture? Are you an angry parent? Are you violent parent? Or to each other? How do you relate with yourself, and how do you relate to them, the children, the young ones? Why will anger fill the boy child's heart to the extent that he has no love and he doesn't care how he treats someone out there? Why do you think there's so much violence in our streets today? If we continue like this, we might not have fathers for our children. Our girls, young ones, might not have husbands to marry. Have you taken statistics? From last year, 2018, up until now, how these young people have related and killed one another. Have you been to the funeral of a young person, an innocent child, boy, age 19, 17, 22, 25? Have you gone to the prison? Have you seen how many young people are in the prison because of anger and hatred? They didn't just learn it on the internet. Some of them learned it at home. How are you doing with your children? Do you have time for the girl? Do you have time for the boy? Have you lost your culture, or do you tell them your culture and you act your culture? Do you do things together? Do you care to know who their friends are? When they go sleeping over, do you want to know what is being discussed when they are sleeping over in their friend's house or when they come to your house? Are you as a parent friends with the parent of your child's friend? These are part of our culture. Princess, I'll come to you again.
Yes, ma'am.
Our culture as Africans, we are communal people.
Yes.
We have an adage that says, I will translate it in English literally.
Okay.
It says, one person cannot bring up a young child. Yes. In Africa,
It takes a village
heavily.
to raise a child.
I'd like you to talk about that. We don't need to lose that because we are in this place, you know?
Thank you again. You know, when we were discussing a few minutes ago about culture,
Yeah,
and we also talked about our values,
our values.
ethics, etiquette. So we have social etiquette, business etiquette, which is part and parcel of us as Africans. You know, a lot of people forget that. When you go to another culture, you should study, imbibe what they have that you see as positive, and shun whatever it is that they have that does not align with good character.
Yeah.
Also, don't lose what you have that is excellent. And one of the things that we have as Africans is this the community spirit, whereby your child is my child. I think even in Africa we're beginning to lose it. You know, you would trust your child with the neighbor and quickly go to the market and come back because you know they're in a safe space. Do we have safe spaces anymore? Even within the home, there's no safe space anymore. And all these are affecting our young people. In Africa, it's a proverb we say over and over and over again. It takes two parents to have a child, but it takes a whole village, a whole community, a whole town to raise that child. And you know, the Yorubas will say, "Omo wani." This is our child.
Our child.
You know, not yours, not his, not theirs. Our child. When we'll stop saying, "This is our child," you know that there's something has gone wrong.
Yeah.
So it's either that child has become wayward, or there's nothing to write them about. And who wants to associate with something that is negative? So back then in Africa, everybody wanted to be loved, to be respected, to be accepted. So children were raised and nurtured and groomed to conform with all those good things that give you the great identity that your ancestors have left. Whereby you know that when you step out of home, the last words your parents will say is, "Remember the child of whom you are." That's in Yoruba.
Yes.
Remember the child of whom you are. In other words, don't go out there and lose your identity. Don't go out there and forget your culture. Because your identity and your culture is your anchor to reality. Your anchor back home.
Yeah.
If for any reason you get lost, if you remember who you are, you'll be able to trace your way back home. That's why it's not good to get lost completely and totally remove your identity or your culture from yourself. This is something totally, different, but also quite important. There's been a video going on in the last 3-4 days about women who are trying to, it's called beauty enhancement. And they're giving themselves these baths that is actually removing their skin. Now, why would anybody do that? Are you saying the creator was stupid? Or the creator had no wisdom, that you were put in this encasement, this your own body. Why would you want to go and remove your skin? Because you want to become light-skinned or whiter than the European. And there's been a lot of, I mean, I saw a little clip of the video. There was a lady who, apparently this was done in her parlor, her beauty parlor. And first of all, it was very scary for anybody to just watch being soaked in some kind of chemical and your skin being taken off, literally taken off. Can you imagine if young people saw that? That's also part of the things that happen on social media. Social media has its goods and its vileness as well.
Yeah.
You know, the disadvantages and the advantages. So if a young person who was already struggling with their identity, maybe they were getting bullied at school because of the color of their skin, you know, or they looked in the mirror, they felt they didn't look up to scratch, they were not pretty enough, they were not handsome enough, and then they just happened to see that video. Obviously, what's going to come into their head? Oh, I could do something about this. We don't know what the consequences are. There's a reason why God gave all of us the skin to cover our flesh. And if you remove a few layers of your skin, for instance, if you have a scratch or a cut, you would see the paler color, because that means that a part of the skin was removed during that accident. So if somebody now goes and just go to remove the skin all by themselves because of choice, because God gave us free will, again, there will be some people who will say it's an adult has the right to do whatever they like. I'm totally for that and I applaud them. You know, it's a matter of choice. But when we come back to the young people, what are we exhibiting? Have we forgotten that adage that says it takes a whole village? No matter where you are, when it says it takes a whole village, it doesn't mean you are in the same village as that child. Because in the world of technology, of science, of inventions, innovations, of the internet of things, all that young person needs to do is click on their phone, their iPad, their laptop, boom. There's a variety, millions of stuff coming in. And if a young person of African descent sees that, that person has been struggling with identity. If they see that, and they go, and the sad thing is, young people, they don't think much because they don't have that much time to stop and think. They just want to fix it. I call them the microwave generation. And not in a derogatory way, it's just to describe, you know, the microwave generation. The name of their chef is Ping.
And that's it.
Once you hear the ping, it's done. That's the microwave for you. So the young person, especially girls, would want to go and remove their skin. Maybe they will go and steal. Maybe they'll go and do drugs to get, because it's not cheap, it costs money. Maybe they'll go and prostitute themselves. So it's like they are already struggling anyway, and then we as adults have put that out there. So there's nothing we can do about what goes out there. The only thing we can do as parents, especially mothers, is what it is that we share with our children, whether they're biological or adopted or they've been handed over to us to help raise them. And when I talk about this, people that have heard me speak many times know it. I always say, the job of a mother is not done. Or the job of a female. Because I always say, to know the true character of a young boy or a man, show me the females in his life. Who is his mom, his grandmother, his aunt, his sister, his female cousin, his niece, his wife, his girlfriend, his mistress, his side chick. All these women, all these females exist in the lives of a boy child right up to the time that he's a man. And we all have influence. All these females have identified. Again, back to identity. All these females, from grandma to auntie to wife to mistress to girlfriend to side chick to daughter to female relative to female colleague. Each female that I've identified have roles to play in the life of a baby boy that's just been born, right through the time he becomes a man and becomes the CEO of a company, the president or prime minister of a country. Whatever it is that we have inputted into the lives of those males, so be they our son, our nephew, our husband, our boyfriend, our dude, our side bobo. Seriously.
Even a pastor.
Is a man.
Exactly.
You understand? So what do we input into their lives? Have we molded that child that became the boy, that became the youth, that became the man, that became the CEO, the lawyer, the engineer, the president, the armed robber, the rapist, the thief, the criminal? All these males, we are responsible. The females are responsible. So again, the females, we are like, I'm not sure that you remember the film Black Panther, where the soldiers are the Amazons. They are actually, really, it was coined from the Dahomey Amazons. They were the warriors. They were the ones that looked after the kingdom. They were the ones that protected the king. These were powerful women. And it shows you how much, we have as women. I don't think there's any man, male that is, I'm breaking it down now.
Yeah.
There's any man, a male, that can say, oh, I was born without a woman. Even if it was by cesarean, you were still born. You were still born through a woman.
Yes.
We're yet to see a man pregnant and then give birth. So the woman is the incubator. The woman is the one that, ensconces that child, male or female, that is going to go into this world. So we have roles to play. And nobody comes into this world with a manual for motherhood or parenthood. We learn it along the way. So what mistakes have we seen that our forebears have made? Or things that they did that didn't work? Or things that they did that did work? And there's also something called common sense, which sadly is not very common anymore. But we must always still go back and embrace common sense. Because with sense and sensibilities, we would always make the right choices for ourselves, for our children that we're raising, because the women are that village, really. We are the heartbeat of the village that helps to raise the child. And our men are always there beside us to do their bit. When we look at the Nollywood films, I'm going Africa now because of our values. Let's, for instance, the scenario of a king, and he has all his chiefs, and they're discussing issues that concern the kingdom, or the town, or the village. And they finish the meeting, but somebody's missing. Guess who that person is? In Yoruba, they will say Yalode.
Yes.
Meaning mother of all, the matriarch, kind of.
Yeah, matriarch.
And she's missing. And the king would say, we would have to reconvene again in 7 days or 3 days because our mother was absent, and we cannot make or take any decisions without her.
That's true.
So when in the Western world we hear about we're fighting for women's rights, You already had rights.
Already.
You're fighting for what's yours? Fella said you have human rights. Animal cannot give me human rights. You already had your rights. Where did we lose it? Where did we drop it?
Thank you very much, Princess.
Yes, ma'am.
Viewers, aren't you just glad and happy as we've heard from our princess, especially if you are a female, a young female, an adult female, you are a mother and you are listening to our princess talk. It's so sad if you lose your identity to the extent that you take off your outer layer skin. It's a loss of identity you're showing. What example does that give to the young girl coming up? As adults, let's always think about the young people when we take certain steps. When we do certain things, let's have the younger generation in mind. Think of the implications or the benefits it will have on the younger people. Well, we've heard it, and I know that most of this we know it. Also, because you are here, a place where you have a different culture, doesn't mean you should throw away your culture. No. We have to, as our princess have said, imbibe. Let the young child, let a young person know about your culture. Tell them the history of where they came from. Let them know the meaning of their names. Let them know the history, at least from their fourth generation behind. Talk about your grandparents. Talk about your grandma. If you can remember, talk about your great-grandparents. Also, know what's happening in the life of the young person. What's going on in their mind. Our princess told us all the holes, the outlets we have, they are entrances by which things enter into your soul, into your body. They mold who you are. What you see and what you see someone do affects the young person a lot. Let the community come together and let's help the young people to find their bearing. Be involved in your child's life. Sometimes, let your child and his or her friend do things together in the house when they come visiting. Show them how to do certain chores in the house, how to cook certain food, and how to make certain or wear certain dresses. Yes, know what's happening in the life of your child. What's that child looking? What's it watching on Instagram? What are they watching on YouTube? Microwave generation. Have you heard that? They want everything happening at the tip of a finger. As soon as you hear pim, it's done. Life doesn't go like that. Life is very, very corrective. Life, you have to be very patient to see the good side of life. Let's teach our children values. Well, viewers, we are rounding up now. Princess, would like you to summarize and say a word to our viewers.
Thank you so much. I'm going to speak to the young person out there, you know, the young man, the young girl, the young boy, the young woman. And of course, our parents can also join in and listen. You see, life is a gift. This life is a gift. Yesterday is gone. Today is here. What we do today will enable us see or know if we will see tomorrow. So I would say treat your life as a very precious gift. You know, nobody can steal your joy unless you give them express permission. I sit on the board of a beautiful, beautiful charity called Girl Child Network Worldwide. And a dear friend of mine, dear sister of mine, set it up many years ago in Zimbabwe, Her Royal Highness Mujari Betty Makoni. And she would always teach our girls, the girls we look after, about the 1 meter space. So if you stand up and you stretch out your hand and you turn around in a circle, that is your 1 meter space. So both physically and also spiritually, you are entitled to your 1 meter space. As many people as we have in the world, everybody is entitled to their own space. Don't let anybody violate your space. And young man, don't try to violate anybody else's space, especially that of a young girl. And as a young man yourself, don't let anybody violate your space. It is yours. It's part of your space. It's part of your identity. It's part of what makes you who you are and what you are. Your life is for living. Live your life to the fullest and to the max, but within reason of good character. And as you go through life, I always say, spread a little kindness along the way, because what we throw out there comes back to us, probably tenfold sometimes. I wish you all well, and as I always say, may we all continue to arise as agents of positive change, and may our young continue to grow in their world.
Thank you very much, Princess. Viewers, you've heard it all. We are so privileged, to have her here on this show. Young person out there, do not forget who you are. Remember who you are. Don't forget your culture. Ask your parents questions. Ask about where you came from. Ask about your grandparents. Look out for your culture. Try to let your culture be explained to you. Know who you are. Do not lose your identity. Don't live another person's life. Live your life. Imbibe and live your culture. Be good. Be happy. Let love be in your heart. Do away with anger and hatred. Let violence cease from the young world. We want a zero tolerance to violence in the young world, and we shall have it. Thank you for viewing. We've come to the end of today's episode. We shall be seeing you next week, Thursday at 9 o'clock, and hopefully we'll have Her Royal Highness, our princess, with us again next week. Stay blessed, stay cool, be happy. Bye-bye.
no go chop. Infrared. Praise, you are just having fun, isn't it? Smile. Let me know you are happy with me. You can always tell what somebody drove to a comedy show by the way they sit down. That brother in Agbada there, please stand up for recognition. See, they are clapping for you. They didn't know you came with Uber. Range Rover, isn't it? I just want to make you happy a bit. You know, she's here. You know, just to I see you adjusted your shoulder. Who bought the VIP? You or her? Just let me see who else is in there. I see the brother with hat there. I see your cap. Respect, boss. Open his face, yeah? Because you don't know who's watching.
èyí ni àwọn tí a kọ̀wé rẹ̀ àwa sì jẹ́rìí rẹ̀ a sì mọ̀ pé òtítọ́ ni ẹ̀rí rẹ̀.
This is an opportunity for you to visit Israel, Jordan, Mount Nebo in Jordan, on the ground where God spoke to Moses, showing him the promised land. May God lead us all there, and the holy land of Jerusalem, with Holy Trinity Family Chapel, UK.
àǹfààní ńlá rèé fún gbogbo ènìyàn láti bá àwọn ènìyàn Ọlọ́run rìnrìn àjò sí ilẹ̀ mímọ́ Jerusalem láti jẹ́rìí àti láti gbàdúrà ní àwọn ibi tá a ti kà nínú Bíbélì nípa Jésù Kristi àti àwọn wòlíì ìgbàanì. ìrìn àjò mímọ́ fún odidi ọjọ́ 10 gbáko ipò Jerusalem, Bethlehem àti Jọ́dánì.
10 days visitation, Elfi ojú ara yín rí àfonífojì Ela, níbi tí David ti borí Goliath, orí òkè Cameli, òkun Galilee, Cana níbi tí Jésù ti sọ omi di wine, odò Jordan níbi tí Johannu ti ṣe ìrìbọmi fún Jésù, ilé Joseph àti Maria ní Nazareth, Jericho, òkun pupa Dead Sea àti ọgbà Gethsemane níbi tí Jésù ti gbàdúrà.
ibojì Lásárù, ibojì ọba Dáfídì ní Jerusalem. ilé tí Jésù pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀yìn rẹ̀ ti jẹ oúnjẹ alẹ́ Olúwa, yàrá òkè ti Pentecosti àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ.
Holy Trinity Family Chapel, UK, Albert Basin, South Docklands, London, E162QY, via Royal Albert Road, Galilean Reach Roundabout, Oṣù Kẹjọ ọdún 2020, lágbèrè ìrìn àjò ilẹ̀ mímọ́ Jerusalem, the 8th month, August 2020. Bí ẹ bá fẹ́ mọ̀ sí, ẹ pè Captain Mother Hassan, sorry, 078-72-137-953. You can also call Pastor Kumuyi on 079-846-34898 or email us v.hassan@hotmail.uk.
Jerusalem ìlú mímọ́ ni àwùjọ débẹ̀ ni.
Everybody in London, have you heard that Heritage Television has come up with something new? All your functions and celebrations can now be multi-camera live stream that was only reserved for the rich and famous. Having a function in London can be viewed clean and clear immediately from any part of the world. Trust Heritage TV to give you a better reach. Heritage Television also does photography that will make you the envy of all your friends and family. Heritage Television is the best. All your functions like birthdays, funerals, weddings, church anniversaries or harvest. Heritage Television is the master. We are in the heart of London with an ultra-modern equipped studio. You can call us on 020-800-46100 or email us info@heritagetv.co.uk or mobile 0734 1234 560. Heritage Television will do you proud.